Every night, we close our eyes and surrender to what we call sleep, assuming it to be a passive state, a routine biological function, a time for our bodies to rest and repair. But what if that assumption is wrong? What if sleep is not merely the absence of waking, but the doorway to another kind of presence? Picture this. As your body slips into stillness, your consciousness does not vanish. It shifts, quietly, like mist rolling across a field at dawn. It moves beyond the borders of your waking mind. Something ancient stirs, something real. Science has long known that the brain becomes surprisingly active during sleep. In fact, during REM sleep, the stage where most vivid dreams occur, your brain lights up with electrical activity almost as intensely as when you're awake. Electroencephalogram, EEG, studies show that REM sleep is characterized by high-frequency brain waves, similar to those seen during creative thinking and problem-solving in the waking state. This is not the brain powering down. It is the brain entering another mode of operation. One that is less logical, perhaps, but more expansive, more intuitive, more connected. Philosophers throughout time have suggested that sleep offers a glimpse into the soul. Plato once argued that when the senses are quieted, the soul remembers its connection to a greater reality. Modern psychology echoes this in surprising ways. Carl Jung believed dreams served as a bridge to the unconscious, a realm where symbols, archetypes, and hidden desires guide us toward integration and meaning. And yet, in our modern world, we treat sleep as a biological afterthought, something to be managed with pills or ignored altogether. We miss its message. But this is not just philosophy. There are countless well-documented cases that challenge our ordinary understanding of sleep. For example, researchers at the University of California, Berkeley, discovered that during deep non-REM sleep, the brain strengthens connections between distant regions. This process not only consolidates memory, it helps us extract meaning from our experiences. In other words, your sleeping mind is organizing, synthesizing, and preparing you for a better tomorrow, even as your conscious self drifts in dreams. And consider this. In 2014, a team from the University of Wisconsin found that people who reported frequent vivid dreams or practiced lucid dreaming had more gray matter in the prefrontal cortex, the area of the brain responsible for self-awareness and higher-order thinking. This suggests that the more we engage with our dream life, the more we activate the very parts of the brain that make us feel alive, creative, and connected. Isn't that something worth paying attention to? You see, sleep is not the end of the day. It is the beginning of a journey inward. And for those of us in the later chapters of life, this journey becomes even more important. We have lived long enough to know that meaning matters more than routine, that the spirit matters more than the schedule. The time we spend sleeping may hold answers to questions we've carried for decades. It may offer peace, resolution, or even inspiration. So here is my challenge to you. Tonight, before you close your eyes, set an intention. Ask your deeper self a question not from fear, but from curiosity. What do I still need to learn? What have I forgotten about who I truly am? Then let go. In the morning, write down whatever you remember, even fragments. A color, a face, a feeling. These are not random. They are part of a conversation your soul is having with you. We are not just bodies with a brain. We are beings of perception, reflection, and vision. Science has begun to affirm what mystics always knew, that within us lies a faculty for transcending the ordinary. Sleep is not a shutting down, but a tuning in, a remembering, and perhaps a waking up. The next time you lay your head down at night, do not do so thoughtlessly. Sleep not as a resignation from life, but as a return to it. The journey doesn't end when the lights go out. It begins. We've been taught that dreams are simply the flickering of a resting brain, electrical noise without meaning, images stitched together by chance. But tell me, if dreams are random, how do we explain the man who dreams of a woman he's never met and marries her years later? How do we explain people who dream of events before they happen, seeing plane crashes, medical diagnoses, or even conversations with startling precision? These are not isolated anecdotes. They are part of a growing body of experiences that science is just beginning to acknowledge. At the University of Maryland, Dr. Deirdre Barrett studied a group of people who solved complex problems in their dream scientific equations, design challenges, artistic breakthroughs without conscious effort. The mind, while sleeping, reaches into places we cannot access during the noise of daily life. Neuroscientists at Harvard have shown that the brain, particularly during REM sleep, connects seemingly unrelated pieces of information, allowing for innovative associations. This is why so many inventors, artists, and scientists credit dreams with their greatest ideas. Elias Howe dreamed of the needle that revolutionized the sewing machine. Paul McCartney woke up with the melody to Yesterday fully formed. The dream world is not empty. It is fertile. Ancient traditions understood this. In the Bible, dreams were vessels of divine instruction. Joseph interpreted Pharaoh's dreams to foretell 7 years of famine, and that insight saved entire nations. The book of Daniel tells of visions that revealed the rise and fall of empires. In these stories, the dreamer is not a passive recipient, but a participant in a sacred dialogue. Even in the teachings of Jesus, we find a thread of deeper perception. He spoke of the kingdom of heaven being within us, of seeing through the illusions of this world. What if this seeing begins not with the eyes but with the soul, and the soul speaks in the language of dreams? Science and spirituality are not at odds here. They are converging. Functional MRI scans show that during sleep, the limbic system, the seat of emotion and memory, becomes highly active, while the logical, filtering prefrontal cortex quiets down. This neurological shift allows us to bypass the rational mind and access deeper layers of feeling and insight. But we must approach this space with intention. Imagine your mind as a great library, but one that only opens its deepest chambers at night. If you rush through those halls without a question, you may leave with nothing. But if you enter with purpose, with a genuine desire to listen, the shelves begin to open. So ask yourself, what patterns have appeared in your dreams? What symbols return again and again? What feelings stay with you after you wake, lingering like a scent from another room? These are not leftovers of dinner or stress. They are signposts. In practical terms, begin by keeping a notebook by your bed. Each morning, write down even the faintest recollection, because the very act of writing sends a signal to your subconscious. I am listening. Over time, the memories will come faster, clearer, more complete. If there is a person who visits you in dreams, write their name. If you find yourself in a house you've never seen but recognize instinctively, draw it. These fragments, when collected over time, begin to form a language that is yours and yours alone. The goal is not to become obsessed with dreams, but to treat them as you would any other conversation, with attention, respect, and curiosity. You have lived a long and rich life, full of memories, choices, and wisdom. Your dreams may be the bridge between what you've learned and what you still seek to understand. They may offer clarity when waking thought becomes foggy. They may remind you of what still matters most. Tonight, before sleep takes you, close your eyes with awareness. Ask a question that matters to you. Then breathe slowly and say to yourself, I am ready to remember. In the morning, give yourself a few quiet moments before reaching for the day. Let your dreams rise like mist from a warm lake. Catch what you can. Write it down. Reflect. Over time, you will discover that sleep is not a break from reality, it is a deeper reality calling you home. Most of us were raised to believe that we are simply a body with a brain, a bundle of bones, muscles, and neurons moving through time until the clock runs out. But if you've ever had a dream that left you shaken or woken up with a feeling too deep to explain, then you've already touched something more. You are not just a physical being. You are a layered human experience, a living harmony of body, mind, emotion, and spirit. Each of these dimensions shapes how you perceive life, how you love, how you suffer, and how you heal. Modern science is slowly catching up with what ancient traditions have long understood, that our consciousness moves across multiple planes, and that sleep is the gateway through which we reconnect with all of them. The first layer is the physical body, the one you see in the mirror and feel when your knees ache or your back stiffens. During sleep, this body goes into restoration mode. Cells repair, tissues regenerate, and your immune system resets. This process is vital, but it is not the full story. The National Institute of Neurological Disorders and Stroke confirms that the body enters phases of deep cellular repair during slow-wave sleep, proving that sleep is not idle time but active healing. Still, as essential as this vessel is, it is not the center of who you are. It is the house, not the homeowner. Then comes the mental body, the layer responsible for thought, logic, and memory. While you sleep, your brain does more than rest. It reorganizes your entire mental library. A study from Harvard Medical School shows that during sleep, especially in REM cycles, the brain consolidates memories and even solves problems. You may have gone to bed confused or stuck, only to wake up with the answer as if it had been whispered to you in the night. That is the mind doing its sacred work while the conscious ego steps aside. It is as if your thoughts are bricks, and during sleep, your deeper intelligence rearranges them into structures you never imagined. The emotional body, often overlooked, is where much of your inner world resides. Every joy, grief, fear, or regret you've carried leaves an imprint here. Sleep is when these emotional residues rise to the surface, sometimes through dreams, sometimes through feelings that follow us into the morning. Researchers from the University of California, Berkeley found that sleep helps reprocess emotional experiences, especially those that were too overwhelming during the day. Dreams, particularly nightmares, may not be your enemy. They may be the emotional body's way of asking for your attention. If you've ever woken up from a dream with tears in your eyes or relief in your chest, you've felt the emotional body in motion, releasing what your waking self may have pushed aside. And then there is the spiritual body. This is the most mysterious and yet the most powerful part of you. It is the one that remembers truths your conscious mind has forgotten. It is the presence within you that watches your life unfold like pages in a book. During sleep, especially during REM and deep meditative states, something extraordinary happens. Your spiritual body begins to move. Studies in neurotheology and consciousness research show that the brain produces dimethyltryptamine, or DMT, during dreaming. Often referred to as the spirit molecule, DMT is associated with vivid visions, out-of-body experiences, and a sense of connection to something greater. In high doses, it leads to profound mystical states, yet your body produces it naturally in small amounts every single night. What does that tell us? That sleep may not be a passive journey inward, but an active departure outward into realms beyond the physical. So how do we respond to this knowledge? First, we begin by honoring all four layers. Nurture your physical body by sleeping in total darkness, keeping electronics away from your bed, and embracing the rhythm of natural light. Support your mental body by journaling before sleep, clearing your thoughts, and allowing your mind to breathe. Tend to your emotional body by acknowledging how you feel before bed. Write it down, say it out loud, or simply sit with it. And connect with your spiritual body by asking one sincere question before you sleep. What do I need to know? Then listen in the morning, not with your ears, but with your heart. We are so much more than flesh and thought. We are built for deeper experiences, for connection across dimensions of being. Tonight, when you lie down, do so with reverence. You are not falling asleep. You are re-entering yourself. And when you wake, pay attention to what followed you back. It may not just be a dream. It may be a message from the part of you that never sleeps. If you've ever woken from a dream with a pounding heart or a strange sense that something followed you back, you are not alone. For centuries, people around the world have reported dreams that feel more real than waking life. Encounters with beings, places, and experiences that don't fit within the limits of logic or culture. And while science has often dismissed these reports as hallucinations or misfiring neurons, a deeper look reveals something more complex. The dream world is not just a playground for memory and emotion. It is a realm of interaction. It has rules, risks, and if approached consciously, incredible potential. The question is not whether dreams are real, but whether you are prepared to take them seriously. Studies from the University of Montreal have found that nearly 8% of people report recurring dreams of being chased or attacked. These aren't just bad dreams. When studied with brain imaging, these episodes activate the amygdala and prefrontal cortex in patterns similar to trauma processing. In other words, your brain is treating some dreams like real-life events. This suggests your dream world has more weight than we're taught to believe. The emotional impact is real, and so too are the consequences if ignored. Now think of sleep paralysis. Millions of people have reported waking up unable to move, often accompanied by a sense of presence in the room, sometimes even a dark figure standing nearby. Scientists explain this as a glitch between REM sleep and muscle atonia, but that explanation doesn't account for why so many people across cultures and time see the same shadowy form. In Japan, it's called kanashibari. In parts of the Caribbean, they call it being ridden by the hag. When you hear the same experience described by people continents apart, the boundaries between science and mystery begin to blur. The CIA, during its now declassified MK Ultra and Stargate programs, took these phenomena seriously enough to invest in long-term research, studying whether altered states of consciousness could allow individuals to access non-physical realms or perceive distant locations. What did they discover? We may never know everything, but the sheer depth and duration of their investment tell us that these states were not just curiosities. They were potential tools. So what does this mean for you? It means your dreams are not random images to be discarded in the morning. They may contain insights, warnings, and even interactions with aspects of reality science does not yet have the language to describe. But with great access comes great responsibility. Just as you wouldn't walk into a new city without awareness of your surroundings, you shouldn't enter the dream world unprepared. For example, countless dreamers report being offered objects, food, or contracts by figures in their dreams. This may sound harmless, but in many ancient cultures, to accept something in a non-ordinary state was to form a bond. In Greek mythology, Persephone ate fruit in the underworld and became bound to it. Whether literal or symbolic, the idea is clear. In dreams, agreements can be made, and not all of them are in your favor. So if you ever find yourself in a dream being handed something, pause, ask questions. If you cannot get a clear answer, decline. Trust your instinct. This is not about fear. It's about awareness. The more conscious you are in your dreams, the more power you have to shape them. This is the essence of lucid dreaming, the practice of becoming aware that you're dreaming while still inside the dream. Lucid dreaming has been verified by scientific studies using eye movement communication and EEG machines. One famous study from Germany's Max Planck Institute found that lucid dreamers could control their dream actions with intention, even solving mathematical problems. That means your dream self is not just a passive character, can become an explorer, a decision maker, and that changes everything. You can fly, ask questions, enter a library, speak with someone you've lost, or access a level of creativity far beyond your waking mind. To begin this practice, train your mind with simple actions. During the day, ask yourself, am I dreaming? Look at your hands, check a clock twice. These actions create habits that carry into sleep. Keep a journal beside your bed and write down dreams the moment you wake. Over time, your awareness grows. What used to be a foggy memory becomes a map. What felt like nonsense becomes symbolic, then meaningful. You begin to see connections between dreams and waking life, between thought and event, between question and answer. The veil lifts one layer at a time. And as you do this, a deeper truth emerges. You start to realize that dream and waking life are not separate compartments. They are part of a single stream of consciousness. The fears you face in dreams often mirror the ones you've buried. The messages you receive may offer the very guidance you've been waiting for. This is not fantasy. This is self-discovery. It is spiritual hygiene. And in a world that teaches you to fear the unknown, reclaiming your dream life is a radical act of courage. So tonight, don't just go to bed. Prepare. Breathe deeply. Ask a question with sincerity. And promise yourself to write down whatever follows. Because what returns with you may not be just a dream. It may be your next step. What if I told you that the boundaries of your dreams are not the edges of your mind, but the edges of another world entirely? One that continues to live and breathe whether or not you remember it in the morning. What if I told you that the vivid dreams you sometimes dismiss or forget are glimpses, not illusions, that they may not be fragments of your imagination but fragments of other lives, other selves, other timelines you are connected to? Quantum physicists today are beginning to echo what mystics have said for centuries, that reality is not fixed, but layered, a web of infinite possibilities where time does not move like a river, but exists more like an ocean, with every moment floating side by side. The many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics proposes that for every choice we make, an alternate version of reality splits off. If this is true, and there are countless versions of you existing simultaneously, then perhaps dreams are the bridges between those versions. Perhaps when you close your eyes at night, your consciousness roams across realities, collecting memories that do not belong to your current life but still live within you. There are people who dream of houses they've never been to but recognize instantly, streets that feel familiar though they do not exist in this world. Others have awakened with the ability to play an instrument they never studied or speak a language they never learned. These are not rare occurrences. In one well-documented study conducted by Dr. Stanley Krippner, participants were monitored during REM sleep while researchers selected random images in another room after the participants had already begun dreaming. When they awoke, many accurately described the images that had not yet been chosen when their dreams began. This suggests that dreams can operate outside of linear time, accessing events that have not yet happened or that may be unfolding in parallel worlds. And this possibility raises the deepest question of all. If your dreams can touch other realities, how do you know this reality is not a dream of another kind? In Hindu philosophy, the universe itself is said to be the dream of Brahman, the infinite consciousness, and that we are all characters in this dream, briefly playing our roles until we awaken. In Buddhism, it is taught that clinging to this world as solid and permanent is the root of suffering, because all things are transient, like mist under sunlight. Even Plato, in his allegory of the cave, described humans as prisoners mistaking shadows on the wall for the real world. So let me ask you, how do you know this life, this moment, this world of solid chairs and ticking clocks is not just one level of a greater reality, one you will awaken from one day? Many people have reported dreams where they lived entire lifetimes, with memories, relationships, years of experience, only to wake and find that minutes had passed. Their grief, confusion, even nostalgia were real. This is not fantasy. These experiences mirror what people describe during near-death experiences. Leaving the body, entering a space beyond time, seeing their lives from above, encountering a peace so vast that it changes them forever. Now imagine what happens when we forget our dreams entirely. We not only lose access to these other dimensions of reality, we also lose part of ourselves. Scientists estimate that within 10 minutes of waking, we forget up to 90% of our dreams. But what if this forgetfulness is not accidental? Modern life surrounds us with distractions that pull us away from inner awareness. Artificial light disrupts melatonin production, suppressing dream states. Medications, especially sleeping pills, often reduce REM sleep, cutting off the very stage where the deepest dreams occur. The more we rely on external stimulation to feel alive, the more distant we become from the inner world that speaks quietly in the night. And yet, the tools to reconnect are still within reach. You can begin now, at any age, to remember who you truly are by remembering your dreams. Before sleep, take 3 deep breaths and ask one sincere question. Could be something you've long wrestled with. What is still unfinished in my life? What do I need to see more clearly? Then, when you wake, lie still for a few moments. Ask yourself what you felt, what you saw, what symbols linger. Write them down without judgment. Over time, you'll begin to notice patterns. Places will return. Characters will evolve. Emotions will guide you to the truth behind the imagery. You will begin to wake not just from sleep, but into a wider self, one that is connected to something timeless and whole. This practice is not a theory. It is a way of reclaiming the parts of you that this world may have silenced. It is a daily opportunity to explore beyond the surface of things and access a deeper current of wisdom that belongs to you, has always belonged to you. So tonight, do not go to sleep hoping only for rest. Go to sleep with the heart of an explorer. Set an intention, ask a question, open the door, and when you return, write what you find. Remember who you are, because in a world that trains you to forget, remembering is the most revolutionary act you can take.